Kira's hand shook as she typed the message. Her left arm hung useless, swelling dark beneath the skin. She could barely see the screen through the tears. "Mom, he broke my arm, please come." She hit send before the nausea rolled through her again. 6 months pregnant and sitting on a bathroom floor at 2 in the morning. The baby kicked once, hard, like it knew. Her phone didn't ring. She waited. Counted her breaths. Tried to stop shaking. 30 seconds. A minute. Nothing. She checked the number. Her stomach dropped. 1 digit off. Wrong contact. Some random person now had her worst moments sitting in their messages. A stranger knew what her mother didn't. Kira stared at the screen, pulse hammering in her throat. She could send it again to the right number. She could delete it and pretend she hadn't just exposed herself to no one and everyone. Or she could wait to see if the wrong number replied. Kira woke on the couch with her phone clutched against her chest. Pale light bled through the blinds. Her arm throbbed in time with her heartbeat. He wasn't there. She sat up slowly, listening. No shower running. No footsteps in the bedroom. No keys on the counter. His jacket was gone. His boots weren't by the door. She stood, cradling her arm, and walked through the apartment like she was touring someone else's life. The kitchen was exactly as she'd left it. Coffee cup in the sink from yesterday morning. His cereal bowl still on the table, milk dried to the porcelain. But he wasn't here. Kira checked her phone. No missed calls. No messages. The text she'd sent to the wrong number sat at the bottom of the thread, delivered but unread. She opened a new message to her mother. "Everything's fine. Don't worry. Talk soon." She deleted it before sending. Her arm needed a hospital. The swelling had crawled halfway to her elbow now, bruises blooming purple and green. She couldn't lift it without gasping. But hospitals asked questions. They documented. They called people. She sat back down on the couch and waited for him to come home so she could know which version of the day she was living. 1 hour. 2. The baby shifted, restless. She put her good hand on her stomach and whispered something that wasn't quite a prayer. By noon, he still hadn't come back. By evening, she started to wonder if he was coming back at all. That night, she slept with the bedroom door locked and a knife from the kitchen under the pillow. Not because she thought it would save her. Because it made the silence feel less like waiting and more like preparation. Yes. Kira went to the hospital on the 3rd day because the pain made her vomit and she couldn't tell anymore if it was the arm or the baby. The intake nurse didn't ask how it happened. She took Kira's information, her insurance card, and told her to wait. Kira sat in a plastic chair under fluorescent lights that made everyone look half dead. A doctor set the fracture. "Clean break," he said. 6 weeks in a cast. He was young, tired, didn't make eye contact. He asked if she felt safe at home. She said yes. He nodded like he'd expected it and moved on to the next room. At the billing desk, the woman behind the counter frowned at her computer screen. Clicked a few times. Frowned deeper. "This is already paid." Kira blinked. "What?" "Your bill. It's been taken care of. In full." The woman looked up, curious now. "Do you have secondary insurance we didn't catch?" "No." "Benefactor? Charity fund?" Kira's mouth went dry. "I don't know." The woman shrugged and printed a receipt marked 0 balance. "Lucky day." Kira walked out into the parking lot holding the paper like evidence of a crime she didn't commit. She sat in her car for 20 minutes trying to make sense of it. Hospital bills didn't just disappear. Someone had paid. Someone who knew she'd be there. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her heart kicked hard against her ribs. She opened the message. "You should rest." That was all. No name. No explanation. Kira stared at the words until they stopped looking like language. Her hands started shaking again. She typed with her thumb. "Who is this?" The reply came in seconds. Someone who received your message. The wrong number. She'd forgotten. Or maybe she'd convinced herself it didn't matter. Some stranger 3 states away who'd deleted it and moved on. But they hadn't. They'd found her. Paid her bill. Known exactly where she'd be. Kira's breath came shallow and fast. She looked around the parking lot. Cars. People walking. No one watching. But someone was. She typed again, fingers clumsy. I don't need your help. The response took longer this time. You already have it. Kira locked her phone and drove home. She checked the rearview mirror the entire way. When she got back to the apartment, the door was still locked. The knife was still under her pillow. But on the kitchen counter, there was a bag of groceries she hadn't bought. Fresh fruit. Prenatal vitamins. Bread that wasn't expired. No note. No receipt. Just evidence that someone had been inside while she was gone. Yes. Kira didn't sleep that night. She sat on the couch with the knife in her lap and watched the door until sunrise. When morning came, she checked every window. All locked. No signs of forced entry. Whoever had been inside had a key or knew how to move through locks like they weren't there. She should have been terrified. She was terrified. But she was also eating an apple from the bag on the counter because she hadn't had fresh fruit in 2 months and her body didn't care about fear when it was hungry. The baby kicked. She took it as judgment. I know, she whispered. On the 4th day, she went to check the mail and found an envelope with her name on it. No return address. Inside was a cashier's check and a single piece of paper. Lease paid through next year. You don't have to leave. The check was made out for an amount she didn't recognize until she did the math. 12 months' rent. Utilities. Everything. Kira sat down in the hallway outside her apartment and stared at the number until her vision blurred. This wasn't help. Help was a ride to the hospital or a phone call to the police. This was something else. This was someone deciding what her life looked like now. She went back inside and tore the check in half. Then she sat on the floor and cried because tearing it in half didn't make the rent less paid. Didn't make the groceries disappear. Didn't make whoever was doing this stop knowing where she lived. Her phone buzzed. You're upset. It wasn't a question. Kira typed fast, angry now. You don't get to do this. I didn't ask for any of this. The reply came immediately. You asked your mother. Her throat closed. She read it again. I'm not your mother. I know. Then stop. There was a long pause. Kira watched the 3 dots appear and disappear twice before the message finally came through. I can't. She threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor, screen intact. For 2 days, she didn't respond. Didn't acknowledge the groceries that appeared again. Didn't touch the vitamins. She ate what she had before and let the fresh food rot on the counter out of spite. On the 6th day, there was a knock at the door. Kira froze. She hadn't heard footsteps. Hadn't heard anyone approach. Another knock. Soft. Patient. She looked through the peephole. A man stood in the hallway. East Asian, mid-30s, wearing a coat too expensive for this building. His hands were in his pockets. He wasn't looking at the door. He was looking at the floor like he had all the time in the world. Kira's pulse hammered in her ears. He didn't knock again. Just stood there. Finally, he spoke. His voice was quiet, barely audible through the door. I'm leaving something for you. You don't have to open the door. He set something down. She heard it clearly. Then footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Fading down the hall. Kira waited 5 minutes before she opened the door. On the ground was a small card. Cream-colored. Expensive paper. No name. Just a phone number written in pen. Underneath, 1 sentence. When you're ready to talk. Yes. Kira kept the card on the kitchen counter for 3 days. She walked past it every morning. Ignored it every night. On the 4th day, she picked it up. The number was local. She'd expected international. Expected some untraceable burner. But this was a regular area code, the kind you'd see on a dentist's office flyer. She put the card back down. The baby was getting heavier. She felt it in her hips now, the way her balance had shifted. She'd started walking differently without meaning to. Her body was preparing for something she wasn't sure she was ready for. Her ex hadn't come back. Not once. His phone went straight to voicemail. His job said he'd stopped showing up. People didn't just disappear. Except sometimes they did. Kira stared at the card and wondered what kind of person made someone vanish. Wondered if she should be grateful or horrified. Wondered if there was a difference anymore. She picked up her phone and dialed before she could stop herself. It rang once. Miss Holland. His voice was calm. No surprise. Like he'd been waiting. Kira's hand tightened on the phone. How do you know my name? You sent me a message. I sent you 7 words. It was enough. She closed her eyes. Tried to steady her breathing. What do you want? Silence. Long enough that she thought he'd hung up. Then, to know you're safe. I don't know you. No. So why do you care? Another pause. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. Because you asked for help. And no one came. Kira felt something crack open in her chest. She sat down hard on the couch. That's not your problem. It became my problem when you sent the message. I sent it to the wrong number. Yes, she laughed. It came out bitter and sharp. So this is what? Guilt? Pity? Responsibility. The words sat heavy between them. Kira shook her head even though he couldn't see her. I don't want your responsibility. I want to be left alone. Do you? Yes. Then why did you call? She didn't have an answer for that. He let the silence stretch. Patient. Unhurried. Finally, she spoke. What did you do to him? Nothing he didn't earn. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Kira stood up and walked to the window. Looked down at the street. Cars. People. Normal life happening below while hers unraveled upstairs. I don't owe you anything, she said. I know. And I'm not going to be part of whatever this is. Whatever you do. I don't want to know. You won't. Then what do you want from me? The question hung in the air. She heard him breathe. Once. Twice. Nothing, he said finally. I want nothing from you. Then why? Because someone should have come. And they didn't. Kira's throat tightened. She pressed her forehead against the glass. I need you to stop, she whispered. Stop what? All of it. The money. The groceries. Watching me. I need you to stop. Another long silence. All right. She blinked. All right. If that's what you want. It should have been a relief. Should have felt like winning. Instead, it felt like falling. I don't understand you, she said. You don't have to. He hung up before she could respond. Kira stood at the window for a long time after. The card was still on the counter. She didn't throw it away. Yes. The groceries stopped. The money stopped. The messages stopped. Kira told herself it was what she wanted. She went to her prenatal appointments alone. Paid with the insurance she had. Walked home through streets that felt different now, like someone had turned off a light she hadn't known was on. 2 weeks passed. Then 3. Her cast came off. The doctor said it had healed well. Clean. No complications. She flexed her fingers and felt nothing but relief. At night, she dreamed about the text message. Watched herself type it over and over. Watched it go to the wrong number. Woke up wondering what would have happened if she'd sent it to her mother instead. Probably nothing. Her mother would have told her to pray about it. To be patient. To remember her vows even though Kira had never made any. The wrong number had done more in 2 weeks than her family had done in 6 months. And she'd told him to stop. Kira was folding laundry when she noticed the car. Black sedan. Tinted windows. parked across the street for the third day in a row. She watched it from behind the curtain. No one got out. No one approached. It just sat there, waiting. Her stomach turned over. She grabbed her phone and called the number before she could think about it. He answered on the first ring. You said you'd stop. I did. Then who's watching me? Silence. What car? His voice had changed. Sharper now. Black sedan. Across the street. It's been there for 3 days. Stay inside. What? He hung up. Kira stood frozen in the middle of her living room, phone still pressed to her ear. Outside, the sedan's engine started. It didn't drive away. The driver's door opened. A man got out. White. 40s. He looked up at her window like he knew exactly which one she was behind. Kira stepped back. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The man crossed the street. She ran to the door. Checked the locks. The deadbolt. The chain. Footsteps in the hallway. Getting closer. A knock. Kira. His voice came through the door. Familiar. Wrong. Her ex. I know you're in there, baby. Open up. She backed away from the door. Looked around for something. Anything. We need to talk. You can't just ignore me. Another knock. Harder this time. You got me in a lot of trouble, Kira. A lot of fucking trouble. And now you're gonna fix it. She grabbed her phone. Dialed 911. The door shuddered. He'd kicked it. You think you can just replace me? Think you can just move on? Another kick. The frame cracked. The 911 operator answered. Kira whispered the address. One more kick and the chain snapped. The door swung open. He stood in the doorway, breathing hard. Eyes wild. He looked thinner. Desperate. Hey, baby. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Miss me? Kira held the phone up. Police are coming. No, they're not. You didn't call them before. You're not gonna call them now. He stepped inside. She moved toward the window. Toward air. Toward anything that wasn't this. You told someone. He was calm now. Too calm. You told someone what happened. And they came after me. Made me lose everything. My job. My place. Everything. I didn't. Don't lie to me. He crossed the room fast. Grabbed her arm. The one that had been broken. Kira gasped. Pain shot bright and hot through the bone. Who was it? His grip tightened. Who'd you tell? No one. Liar. He raised his other hand. The window exploded. Glass everywhere. Kira screamed and dropped. A man came through the window like gravity didn't exist. Landed in a crouch. Rose slowly. The man from the hallway. The expensive coat. The patient voice. He looked at Kira first. Made sure she was breathing. Then he looked at her ex. Let her go. Yes. Her ex didn't let go. His fingers dug deeper into Kira's arm. She felt her pulse against his grip. Who the fuck are you? The man didn't answer. He took one step forward. Glass crunched under his shoe. I said let her go. This is my girl. My house. You got no right. Let her go. Something in his voice made the room go cold. Not loud. Not angry. Just absolute. Her ex's grip loosened. Just slightly. Enough for Kira to twist free and stumble backward. The man moved between them. Not aggressive. Just there. A wall made of expensive fabric and complete stillness. You need to leave, he said. Her ex laughed. High and sharp. Or what? You gonna call your boys? Throw some money around? I know what you are. I know who you fucking work for. Then you know you should leave. She's mine. You don't get to just take. The man moved. Kira didn't see it happen. One moment he was standing still. The next, her ex was on the ground, gasping, both hands clutching his throat. The man crouched beside him. Spoke quietly. If you come back, I won't stop next time. Her ex nodded. Choked. Nodded again. If you call her, I'll know. Another nod. If you think about her, I'll know that too. He stood up. Stepped back. Her ex scrambled to his feet and ran. His footsteps thundered down the hallway. A door slammed somewhere below. Then silence. The man turned to Kira. His expression hadn't changed. Calm. Controlled. Are you hurt? She shook her head. Couldn't speak. He looked at her arm. The one her ex had grabbed. May I? She held it out without thinking. He examined it carefully. Professional. Didn't touch the bruises. Just looked. It's fine, she managed. He didn't break it again. He nodded and stepped back. Gave her space. Kira looked at the shattered window. At the glass covering her floor. At the door hanging crooked on its hinges. You came through the window. The door would have taken too long. You could have died. No. She laughed. It sounded hysterical even to her. You can't just do that. You can't just break into people's apartments and... He broke in first. That's not the point. What is the point? Kira's hands were shaking. She wrapped her arms around herself. Around the baby. The point is I told you to stop. I told you I didn't want this. And now you're here and he's going to come back and... He won't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. The certainty in his voice made her want to scream. I didn't ask you to save me. I know. Then why did you? He looked at her for a long moment. Something shifted in his expression. Not much. Just enough. Because I could. Kira felt tears burn hot behind her eyes. She wouldn't let them fall. I want you to leave. He nodded slowly. All right. And I want you to stop watching me. I can't do that. Yes, you can. No. He said it gently. Like he was explaining something obvious. I can't. Why not? Because he knows about me now. And that means others will know. And that makes you visible. The word landed like a stone in her chest. Visible to who? People I've spent years staying invisible from. Kira sat down hard on the couch. The weight of it crushed her. So this is my fault. No. You just said. This is his fault. And mine. Not yours. She looked up at him. Really looked. He wasn't that tall. Wasn't particularly intimidating in build. But he stood like someone who'd never been afraid of another person in his life. What's your name? She asked. He hesitated. If you're going to ruin my life, I should at least know what to call you. June. June what? Just June. Kira nodded. Too tired to push. I need you to leave now, June. I'll send someone to fix the window. I don't want. It's a window, Miss Holland. Nodded at. He walked to the door. Stopped. Pack a bag. Her head snapped up. What? You can't stay here tonight. Not with the window broken. Not after this. I'm not going anywhere with you. I'm not asking you to. He pulled out his phone. Typed something. There's a hotel 2 blocks north. I've reserved a room under your name. Stay there tonight. Tomorrow we'll talk. We don't need to talk. Yes, he said quietly. We do. He left before she could argue. Kira sat in her broken apartment and wondered when her life had stopped being hers. Yes. Kira didn't pack a bag. She cleaned up the glass instead. Swept it into piles. Taped garbage bags over the window. Moved through her apartment like she could fix it back to normal if she just worked hard enough. By midnight, her hands were bleeding from 3 places she hadn't noticed cutting herself. She sat on the couch and stared at the covered window. The baby kicked. Hard. Like it was angry with her for being stupid. I know, she whispered. Her phone buzzed. The room is still available. She typed back with bandaged fingers. I'm not running. It's not running. It's resting. I don't need rest. I need this to stop. The reply took longer this time. It won't stop. Not now. Kira wanted to throw the phone again. Wanted to scream. Wanted to rewind 3 weeks and send the text to the right number. Instead, she asked the question that had been sitting in her throat since he left. What did you do to him? Before today. Where did he go? Three dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Somewhere he could think about his choices. That's not an answer. It's the only one you'll get. She stood up. Paced. Her apartment felt smaller now. Like the walls had moved closer when she wasn't looking. What happens now? Now you decide. Decide what? If you trust me. Kira laughed out loud. Bitter and sharp. I don't even know you. No. But I know you. The words made her skin crawl. That's not comfort. That's surveillance. It's both. At least he was honest. She looked around her apartment. At the covered window. The broken door frame. The life she'd tried to salvage that kept falling apart in her hands. What if I say no? Then I walk away. And you handle what comes next alone. What comes next? People asking questions. About him. About what happened. About who made him disappear. Her blood went cold. You said he wouldn't come back. He won't. But the people he owes money to will. Kira sat down slowly. The room tilted. No, she said out loud. To herself. To God. To whoever was listening. Her phone buzzed again. I can handle them. But not from a distance. Not if you won't let me. So this is extortion. This is reality. She wanted to hate him. Wanted to be angry. But all she felt was tired. If I let you help, what does that look like? You move. Somewhere safer. Somewhere I can monitor. Monitor. Like a prisoner. Like someone being protected. Same thing. No. It's not. Kira closed her eyes. The baby shifted, restless. She put her hand on her stomach and felt it push back against her palm. I'm not leaving my home. Then I'll make your home safer. How? Let me worry about how. She should have said no. Should have called the police and taken her chances with the system. Should have packed a bag and gone somewhere he couldn't find her. Instead, she typed one word. Fine. The response was immediate. Pack enough for 3 days. Someone will pick you up in 20 minutes. I said fine. I didn't say yes. You just did. Kira stared at the screen. He was right. She had. She stood up and walked to her bedroom. Pulled a duffel bag from the closet. Started folding clothes with shaking hands. 18 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. She looked through the peephole. A woman stood in the hallway. Korean. Early 30s. Professional expression. She held a set of keys and didn't look at the door. Just waited. Kira opened it. Miss Holland. The woman's voice was polite. Efficient. I'm here to drive you. Where? Somewhere safe. That's not an answer. The woman almost smiled. I've been told you don't accept vague answers. Does he tell you everything about me? Only what's necessary. Kira grabbed her bag and followed her out. The hallway was empty. The car was waiting at the curb. Black. Expensive. Tinted windows. Different car from before. Different driver. Same feeling of being pulled into something she couldn't see the edges of. The woman opened the back door. Kira hesitated. You can still change your mind, the woman said quietly. He'll be disappointed. But he'll accept it. Will you stop? No. At least everyone was being honest tonight. Kira got in the car. They drove in silence. Out of her neighborhood. Through parts of the city she didn't recognize. Finally pulled into an underground garage beneath a building that looked like it cost more per month than she made in a year. The woman parked and turned around. 3rd floor. Unit 304. Everything you need is there. For how long? As long as it takes. Kira got out. The woman drove away before she could ask anything else. She took the elevator up. Found the unit. The door was unlocked. Inside was a furnished apartment. Clean. Expensive. Impersonal. On the kitchen counter was a phone. New. A note beside it. This number is secure. Mine is already programmed. Use it if you need anything. Kira picked up the phone, turned it over in her hands. On the back, someone had engraved 2 words in small letters. Not debt. She set it down and walked to the window. The city spread out below her. Lights everywhere. People living their lives in apartments just like this one. None of them had made a mistake that turned into this. Her phone buzzed. The old one. Still in her pocket. Unknown number. But she knew who it was. Sleep. Tomorrow we talk. She didn't respond. Just stood at the window and wondered what she'd agreed to. Yes. Kira slept for 11 hours. When she woke up, sunlight was pouring through windows she didn't recognize. For 3 seconds, she forgot where she was. Then it all came back. She sat up slowly. Her body ached. The baby was quiet for once. The apartment looked different in daylight. Expensive still, but lived in. Someone had stocked the fridge. Left fresh towels in the bathroom. Put prenatal vitamins on the counter next to a French press and good coffee. It felt like a trap made of comfort. She showered. Ate toast she didn't taste. Waited for the phone to ring. It didn't. By noon, she was pacing. By 2, she was angry. By 3, she picked up the secure phone and called the only number in it. He answered immediately. Miss Holland. You said we'd talk. We are. You know what I mean. A pause. She heard traffic in the background. Wind. Are you outside? She asked. Yes. Where? Fixing the problem. Her stomach dropped. What problem? The people your ex owed money to. I thought you said. I said I'd handle it. I am. Kira sat down hard on the couch. What are you doing? Having conversations. What kind of conversations? The kind that end problems permanently. She closed her eyes. You're going to kill someone. No. He said it like she'd insulted him. I'm going to make them understand that pursuing this is more expensive than forgiving it. And if they don't understand, they will. The certainty again. Like he'd never encountered a problem he couldn't solve. I didn't ask you to do this. You asked me to help. This is what help looks like. No. Help looks like calling the police. Help looks like the police can't protect you from these people. And you can. Yes. One word. Flat. True. Kira wanted to argue. Couldn't find the logic to. When will you be done? Tonight. Maybe tomorrow. And then what? Then you decide what comes next. I thought I already decided. You decided to let me keep you alive. That's different than deciding to trust me. She didn't have an answer for that. There's food in the fridge, he continued. Books on the shelf. The building has a gym on the 5th floor if you want to move around. Don't leave the building. I'm not a prisoner. No. You're someone people are looking for. There's a difference. Feels the same from here. He was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. I know. Something in those 2 words made her throat tight. I need to know your real name, she said. Why? Because you know everything about me, and I don't even know what to call you. June is fine. June isn't a full name. It's the one I use. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. Kira stood up. Walked to the window. Watched cars move through streets below. If I stay here, if I let you do this, what do you get out of it? The question had been sitting in her chest for days. Silence stretched long enough that she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, peace. Peace? Yes. That's it. That's everything. She didn't understand. Didn't know how to ask what she wanted to ask. I have to go, he said. Someone's waiting. June. Don't leave the building, Miss Holland. He hung up. Kira stood at the window until the sun started to set. Orange light spilled across expensive furniture in an apartment that wasn't hers. Her old phone buzzed. Unknown number. Different from his. She opened it. A photo. Her apartment. Door kicked in. Furniture overturned. Walls spray painted with words she didn't want to read. Her hands started shaking. Another message. We know where you live, bitch. Tell your boyfriend we want our money. Then another photo. Closer this time. Her bedroom. Her things scattered across the floor. The final message was just an address. Her mother's house. Kira dropped the phone. Picked it up. Called June. It rang 4 times. 5. What's wrong? Not a question. A statement. He heard it in the ring pattern. They were in my apartment. They have my mother's address. Send me the messages. She did. Hands shaking so hard she almost dropped the phone twice. She heard him breathing. Heard something in the background. A voice. Then silence. Stay where you are. My mother is already protected. I sent someone an hour ago. What? Why? Because I'm thorough. Relief and horror crashed through her in equal measure. How many people are you watching? As many as it takes. This is insane. This is necessary. A sound in the background. Sharp. Final. I have to go, he said. Lock the door. Don't answer it for anyone except me. When? Soon. He hung up. Kira locked the door. Checked it twice. Sat on the couch with both phones in her lap and waited. Hours passed. The sun went down completely. At 11:47 p.m., someone knocked. Yes. Kira didn't move. Another knock. Quiet. Patient. Miss Holland. It's me. June's voice. She stood slowly. Walked to the door. Looked through the peephole. He stood alone. No blood on him. No visible damage. But something in his posture had changed. He looked tired. She unlocked the door. He stepped inside and she saw it then. His knuckles. Raw. Swollen. He'd wrapped them poorly. You're hurt. I'm fine. That's not fine. He looked at his hands like he'd forgotten about them. It's handled. What's handled? All of it. Kira closed the door. Locked it. Turned back to face him. Define all of it. The people your ex owed. The people who went to your apartment. The ones with your mother's address. He said it like he was reading a grocery list. They won't come back. Because you paid them? Because they understand the cost now. She didn't want to know what that meant. Asked anyway. What cost? The cost of making you their problem. He walked to the kitchen. Ran water over his hands. Didn't flinch when it hit the broken skin. Kira watched him. This man who'd come through a window. Who'd made her ex disappear. Who'd just spent hours doing things she couldn't imagine to protect someone he didn't know. Why? The word came out smaller than she meant it. He turned off the water. Stood there with his hands dripping into the sink. You asked for help. From my mother. From anyone who would listen. And you just decided to be that person? He turned to look at her. Really look. Like he was deciding how much truth to give. I've spent 10 years building a life where no one knows my name. Where I move through this city like a ghost. Where violence is always possible but never visible. He paused. And then I got a message from someone who is scared and alone and asking for the one thing I've never been able to ask for. What thing? Help. The word hung between them. Kira felt something shift in her chest. Something she didn't have a name for. You could have deleted it. Yes, but you didn't. No. Why not? He was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Because I know what it's like when no one comes. The honesty of it hit her like a fist. She walked to the couch. Sat down before her legs gave out. June stayed in the kitchen. Gave her space. My mother called, Kira said. Someone showed up at her house. Told her to stay inside. Wouldn't say why. She's terrified. I'll have them explain. Explain what? That her daughter accidentally texted a criminal and now he's protecting the whole family. I'm not a criminal. She laughed. Sharp and bitter. Then what are you? Practical. That's not an answer. It's the truest one I have. Kira put her head in her hands. The baby kicked. She pressed back. I can't do this. Do what? Any of it. This apartment. Your protection. Owing you. You don't owe me anything. That's what everyone says before they collect. June moved then. Crossed the room slowly. Sat in the chair across from her. Far enough to not crowd. Close enough to be heard clearly. I don't want your money. I don't want your loyalty. I don't want anything except for you to be safe enough to raise your child without looking over your shoulder. Why would you want that? Because someone should. But why you? He leaned back. Looked at her like he was seeing something she couldn't. When I was 17, someone broke 3 of my ribs and left me in an alley. I called everyone I knew. No one came. I survived because I learned how to survive alone. And I promised myself that if I ever had the power to be the person who comes, I would be. Kira's throat closed. You didn't have to pick me. I didn't pick you. You picked me. You just got the number wrong. Something about the way he said it made her want to cry and laugh at the same time. This is insane. Yes. I should tell you to leave. Yes. But I'm not going to. No? She looked at him. This stranger who'd rewritten her life in 2 weeks. Who'd hurt people to keep her safe. Who looked at her like she mattered even though she'd never mattered to anyone. No, she said quietly. I'm not. He nodded once. Stood. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll figure out what happens next. What has happened next? He walked to the door. Stopped with his hand on the knob. You tell me. Then he was gone. Kira sat in the quiet apartment and felt the baby move. Felt her whole life shifting into a shape she didn't recognize. She picked up the secure phone. Stared at it. On the back, not dead. She wanted to believe that. Wasn't sure she could. Outside, the city moved on without her. Inside, she tried to figure out how to live in a life someone else had saved. Yes. Kira woke to silence and sunlight and the feeling that something had changed while she slept. She got up, made coffee, stood at the window and watched the city wake up below her. The secure phone rang. She answered without thinking. There's someone I need you to meet, June said. Who? A doctor. For the baby. Kira's hand went to her stomach. I have a doctor. You had a doctor. At a clinic 40 minutes from here that's now attached to your old address. We need someone closer. Someone who doesn't ask questions. Doesn't ask questions about what? About why you moved. About who's paying. About anything that isn't the baby's health. She should have been angry. Should have fought him on this too. But she was 7 months pregnant and tired of pretending she had better options. When? This afternoon. I'll have someone pick you up. Will you be there? The question surprised her as much as him. Silence stretched. Do you want me there? Did she? She barely knew him. Barely trusted him. But the thought of walking into another medical office alone made her chest tight. Yes, she said quietly. Then I'll be there. He hung up. The same woman from before picked her up at 2. Drove her to a building that looked like expensive apartments, not a medical office. June was waiting in the lobby. He looked different in daylight. Younger than she'd thought. Tired in a way that seemed permanent. He wore the same kind of expensive coat, but his hands were still wrapped. Miss Holland. Kira. She said it before she could stop herself. If you're going to control my life, you should probably use my first name. Something flickered across his face. Almost a smile. Kira. The way he said it made her stomach flip. The doctor's office was on the 3rd floor. Private. Quiet. The kind of place people went when they wanted to disappear from public record. Dr. Huang was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and no interest in small talk. She examined Kira thoroughly. Asked questions about the pregnancy, the cast, her health. Never once asked about the father. June sat in the corner and said nothing. Just watched. like he was memorizing every detail in case he needed it later. Everything looks good, Dr. Huang said finally. Baby's healthy. You're measuring right on track. But you're carrying stress. I can see it in your blood pressure. I'm fine. You're surviving. That's different than fine. Kira didn't have an argument for that. Dr. Huang looked at June. Then back at Kira. You have support? Yes, June said before Kira could answer. The doctor nodded. Good. She'll need it. After the appointment, they stood in the hallway. Kira felt the weight of the day pressing down on her. Thank you, she said. For this. For coming. You asked me to. I know. But you didn't have to. June looked at her for a long moment. Something in his expression shifted. I need to tell you something. Her stomach dropped. What? Your ex is dead. The hallway tilted. Kira grabbed the wall. What? He died 2 days ago. Overdose. The police found him in a motel outside the city. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Did you? No. He said it firmly. I didn't touch him after that day in your apartment. This was his own doing. You're sure? I'm sure. Kira slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor. June crouched in front of her. Didn't touch her. Just stayed close. I should feel something, she whispered. Sad or relieved or something. But I just feel empty. That's normal. How do you know? Because I felt it too. She looked at him. This man who'd seen violence she couldn't imagine. Who'd survived things he wouldn't talk about. What happened to you? That's not today's conversation. When will it be? Maybe never. That's not fair. You know everything about me. I know your situation. That's different than knowing you. Kira wanted to argue. Wanted to push. But she was too tired. June stood. Offered his hand. She took it. Let him pull her up. They stood too close for a moment. She could see the scar on his jaw. The way his eyes weren't quite black, but almost. The way he looked at her like she was breakable and dangerous at the same time. What happens now? She asked. Now you decide if you're staying in that apartment or if you want to go back to your old one. Can I go back? The door's fixed. The windows replaced. Everything's been cleaned. It's yours if you want it. And if I don't? Then you stay where you are. For how long? As long as you need. Kira stepped back. Put space between them. I need to think. Take your time. They rode the elevator down in silence. The driver was waiting outside. June walked her to the car. Opened the door. Kira. She turned. You're not alone anymore. I need you to understand that. I don't know what that means. It means whatever comes next, you don't face it alone. Even if you want to. He closed the door before she could respond. The car pulled away. Kira watched him in the side mirror until he disappeared. That night, she lay in bed in an apartment that wasn't hers and felt the baby move and thought about the man who'd saved her life and didn't know if she should be grateful or terrified. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't open it. Your mother wants to see you. Tomorrow if you're ready. She stared at the message. Typed slowly. How do you know what my mother wants? Because I asked her. You talked to my mother? She had questions. I answered them. Kira closed her eyes. Imagined that conversation. Her mother's voice. His patience. What did you tell her? The truth. That you needed help. And I helped. That's not the whole truth. It's enough of it. She should have been angry. Wasn't. Tomorrow afternoon. I'll come with you. You don't have to. I know. She turned off the phone and lay in the dark. Outside, the city hummed. Inside, something she didn't have a name for started to take shape. If this message found you, you're already too late. Because Kira's story doesn't end here, and neither does June's shadow. Was he her savior, or the beginning of something far more dangerous? Like if you felt the tension. Subscribe to follow what happens next. Comment, would you trust June or run? The next chapter changes everything.